Last time on Dragon Ball Z. Hey kids, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I am not doing the follow-up to the Star Wars Young Jedi TCG. I will still be doing that hopefully at some point in the next 2 days or so. A little follow-up rules video for you guys. Instead, I want to talk about another Decipher TCG because, as you guys know, I have a lot of card games here, and I'm easily distracted. And I was thinking about this one a lot, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it with you guys. So today we're talking about the Dot Hack Enemy card game, which is yet another Decipher TCG. And it is probably, I wouldn't call this one of the better ones, but it's definitely one of the ones that surprised me in terms of how complex it was. Now, for a bit of background, Dot Hack is it's a video game franchise. It's currently in a bit of a slump. I don't think there's been anything new released for it in a while. But it first started back in 2002, 2003, I believe, with a series of 4 PlayStation 2 games. It was, bear with me, I don't think I have all this correct, Infection, then Mutation, then Outbreak, then Quarantine. I believe that was the order of the games. I might be wrong. It's been like 10 years since I last played the original series. And these Dot Hack games were kind of unique because they were 4 games released relatively close together. And they all tied together. You copied your save data from one into the next, into the next, and the next, telling a story as you progressed, as you leveled up your characters, as you improved your party, etc. It was an RPG game. The general premise of Dot Hack was that you were a character who logged into an MMO one day and there was some freaky deaky stuff going on. And there's a lot to the Dot Hack plotline, and this is not a video talking about Dot Hack and its story and all its crazy characters, because there's a lot to it. There's this whole mythos that the Dot Hack franchise has managed to build up for itself across successive generations of not just real world video game series, because there are several different versions of the Dot Hack franchise, but also in world. There's different versions of the MMO The World that the characters in the game and anime and manga and novels play, because it is a multimedia franchise. Not only is the original 4 games, there's also the anime Dot Hack sign that directly leads into them. There is the Dot Hack Legend of the Twilight manga and anime, the Dot Hack Roots anime, which ties into Dot Hack GU, which is a trilogy, which has the same gimmick as the original ones, where your character's save file carries over across the 3 games. And then there's like Dot Hack Link and a bunch of other stuff. The point is, Dot Hack is a pretty big franchise, and I'm a huge fan of it. I don't play it as much as I'd like to anymore. I picked up the GU collection for the PS4 a while back, and I blitzed through that, and that was fun. To give a kind of general, if I could describe it in one word, the franchise in one word, very grindy. You are going to be dumping a lot of hours into just leveling up and searching for the right gear so that you can be as strong as possible to progress the story. It's not like a Legend of Zelda game where you go to a dungeon, get the item, and move on. You want to level up. You want to level up a lot. But that brings us to the Decipher TCG. Dot Hack Enemy, appropriately named, because enemy is what you're going to make out of anybody who's playing this with you. It's a surprisingly complex TCG. It's had a few releases, a few sets, even some promo sets. But this is just a general overview of the overall game. Like with usual, I'm not going to go over the rules or anything. But I will say that, like all Decipher TCGs, this one uses a lot of screenshots. Or is it even right to call it screenshots? Because there are screenshots of like the Dot Hack sign anime in this game, but there's also just like PNGs of game models used for the cards. It's really strange. Decipher never uses like unique card assets for any of their TCGs, or at least they don't as far as I'm aware. But with this one, I'm more than willing to forgive it just because I really like dot hack. So just the ability to collect the characters on the cards is really good to me. And I even have a favorite. I have a favorite. Loud truck passing by. I have a favorite dot hack card. Behold, Monkey Crab. He's just a little crab with a rice ball. I think he's great. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite cards ever. And I love the flavor text because this one, I should talk about this. These cards have a weird layout. The flavor text is not on the bottom of the card. If it has flavor text, it's kind of in the middle, which is strange, right? That's odd for a TCG. Most of the time, the flavor text, if it has it, is at the bottom of the card, not in the middle of the rules text. This one has weird rules flavor text. See that? That's clearly a crab holding a rice ball. He's the happiest little crab ever. The flavor text says, "Watch out, it's gotta rock." And you just gotta love the late 90s, early 2000s Western culture and their absolute refusal to acknowledge rice balls exist. It's always a jelly donut or a rock or a cotton candy ball. Some other weird things too. It's never a rice ball. Never a rice ball. So yeah, I do have a favorite card, and it's from this card game, so I love that bad boy. It's had a few releases. The one thing I really wanted to note that, besides the booster boxes themselves, which, is a standard booster box, standard packs, and all that jazz. The one thing that I found was kind of strange with Enemy was that it has two different deck sizes. These are the, as far as I'm aware, these are both just starter decks, just normal, like intro decks for the game. But for different sets, there were different tie-in decks. And some sets had small deck boxes, and others had weird. That's a weird shape for a deck box. It's not like a bent box. This is just how they come. And I just thought that was kind of weird. What a strange game. I love this series so much. So many of the characters are kind of iconic to me. Bear, Subaru, Maka. A lot of weird Gardenias in here. A lot of weird stuff. Good series. But the thing I wanted to talk about is Dot Hack Enemy is a good example of what I was talking about in my previous video. I hope it was my previous video. I hope I didn't upload these out of order. Where I was talking about a licensed card game, and something that licensed card games have is a bit of a leg up over original card games. And I think I forgot to mention this in my last video. Is when it comes to original TCGs, sure, there is the chance that without having a license to adhere to, without having to be tied to another property, they have the potential to live longer. But a licensed TCG has its own audience. People that will show up and buy that TCG just because it is a collectible of their favorite franchise. And I'm a huge example of this. I love the Dot Hack characters. I've played all the games that I think I can. I don't know if Link was ever released in English. Someone let me know if Dot Hack Link was released in English. I don't actually think it was. But I like Dot Hack. I've watched the anime. I've played the video games. I've read some of the novels even. So yeah, when I found out a few years back that there was a Dot Hack card game, I of course snatched it up. It's relatively cheap to get because it's a Decipher TCG from almost 20 years ago that has a few set releases, but none of them are particularly fantastic. And it is surprisingly complex. Let me know if you guys want me to start including the basic rules of the card game in these quick overview videos, because I always feel like I'm wasting time going over the rules for a card game that 99% of you aren't going to play anyway. But I do want to mention that the Enemy card game rules, they're surprisingly complex for what they are. The core gameplay is simple. You send your monsters at your opponent and block your opponent's monsters with your PCs. But there's a lot of different kind of cool interactions you can have in regards to how you upgrade your PCs and the kind of hidden events you can have, what monsters you can hide in the portals to surprise your opponent with. There's a lot going on. And when I first actually got down to actually play the game with some friends, we were all kind of taken aback by like, oh, there's a lot we can do here. It wasn't necessarily new player friendly either. It wasn't a case of, oh, there's a surprising amount of death. It was, oh, there's actually a lot going on, and we're not entirely sure if we're ready for what we got here. If we if we signed up for the right experience, you know? Because, yeah, when it comes to TCGs, I don't necessarily think it's a bad card game. I think it's fine. But it was definitely more surprising than a lot of the other ones I've played in terms of a lot of the interactions you can get to right out the gate. It's not like Flesh and Blood where, you know, yeah, there's a complexity to it, but the intro products and the intro experience is relatively simple. No, this was a game where, like, 3 turns in, you're going, oh, there's some weird rules here. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to sit down, relax, and, you know, discuss another weird, old, dead card game that I think you guys might like to hear about. So do let me know if you guys want me to include the basic rules in these overview videos. I'm never really sure if I want to pad out the length of a video by going over things like rules, because when it comes to things like this, I get the impression that most of you aren't going to try these games out. But if you guys are interested, yeah, let me know, and I'll try to make a concerted effort to include at least the basic rules when going over it in the future. But that's really all I've got today. Thank you so much for watching. I will try my best to stick around for another video later this week. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.